I was asked to make a video of my outdoor light controller, so here's the video. Here is my outdoor controller. It's a Westinghouse unit, and this is one of those products where it has a fantastic design theory to it, but the actual quality of the product seems to be lacking quite a bit. If this unit functioned reliably on a regular basis, this would be a fantastic controller. Unfortunately, it seems to be very sensitive to water, so if it rains at all, it seems to stop working. And I don't know if this is because it's got wet in the past or it's just a problem with the unit. It seems to function very intermittently. It got so bad for a while I contemplated replacing this with something else, but since I have yet to come up with something that's more practical, or at least as practical as this, it's still out here. The controls that it has is it's got a daylight sensor, so it can turn off at dusk and dawn, or it has a timer function where it can turn on for 2, 6, or 8 hours on a regular schedule or on an irregular schedule. And by irregular schedule I mean just once. I think this button in the center there, that black part right here, used to be a button at some point, but it seems to not work anymore. So it hasn't worked at all this year. I can't remember if it worked last year or not. I think this is my second year on this controller, so like I said, the longevity is definitely not very good. Now I have it hidden under this tarp here. Of course I pulled it back for the video, but have it on the tarp so it doesn't get wet. Now this does void the ability to use the daylight sensor, but at least it keeps it dry and hopefully functioning somewhat more reliably. For the most part, I just use it with the remote, manually turning it on and off as I so desire to. Here's a better look at the remote. As you can see here, we have the manual on and off buttons, as well as the 2, 6, 8 hour timer buttons, the dusk dawn button, as well as repeat on and off, which will program your schedule, and the photo cell or countdown switch, which does not seem to work. It never seemed to work since I got it. Or at least it hasn't worked this year. I can't remember if it worked last year or not. The remote has a collapsible antenna, and it claims a range of 80 feet. Now, I'm not sure if it actually gets up to 80 feet, but we're going to test that right now. Now, I'll go over this way. Right now I'm probably about 20 feet from the unit, and I'm going to turn it on here. And as you can see, it is working. I'm going to go back a little further here. We'll go to about 50 feet. Well, it's maybe 40 feet or so. And it's still working. Let's go back further. Now this is line of sight range. I'm assuming 80 feet line of sight is what they were referring to, not actually 80 feet through a house or something. And now we're probably at about 75 feet, 80 feet more or less. And it's still working. Off. Turn back on here. I was able to turn it off. There it goes, back on. Okay. It is working there. I'll go all the way over here. And off, on. It's still working perfectly fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the house in between it. Okay, so now the house is between the controller and myself, and it's still working. Let's go all the way over here. The lights are on right now. I'm going to turn them off. And if they are off, let's go take a look. That will have transmitted through about 40 feet of house, which is pretty good. It didn't work. The lights are still on. Let's try it again. Sometimes it's a little finicky as to the angle of the remote. Now they're off. Okay, so actually the range is pretty impressive. It transmitted through the whole house, which is not bad. So range is I'm certain to believe their range claim, actually. Anyways, so I think that's pretty much all for the video. Take one last look at the controller here. And just to show you how it works a bit, zoom this in here. Depending on what setting is on, the light will turn on there. So I do a 2-hour timer. It should have turned on. It doesn't seem to be doing so for some reason. Just can't hold that close. Or did it? Oh yeah, it did. Okay. It is working. It's just hard to see. Repeat on, repeat off, 2 hours, or 8 hours, 6 hours, 2 hours, on, off, dusk, dawn. So there you have it. That's my outdoor light controller. I hope that showed you what you wanted to see. Over and out.